In this second video, what I want to do is take this repeat function and then plug it into some of the data that we've got laid out in the table above. So we kind of create a visual dashboard, and we'll add in a couple of functionalities so that you understand a bit more about shrinking and expanding, and also creating above the line and below the line type charts. So just to take the basic formula in here, let's look at the subtotal values that we've got in a column here. If I want to create a kind of a horizontal bar chart that reflects what we've got in there, I could use conditional formatting and put in a data bar. But we're going to use the repeat function. So all I'd simply do is type in, just like we showed in the first video, the repeat function, which is equals REPT. Then I open the comma with an opening comma, and then I insert the text I want to show. So I'm going to put a capital I, put my comma, and I want it to show the number of times shown in cell C3. So I put the cell reference, close the closing comma, and then hit return. And all I simply do is click on that cell and drag down to take the formula down to the corresponding cell for each of the values in column C. So there you have it. That's one way of doing it. Now, if I want to display the cumulative column, notice that we've got a much larger value in there. So what I can do is simply shrink the proportionally shrink each of the cells so that it still reflects comparatively what they look like from a bar chart perspective, but it doesn't exceed the width of the cell itself. So all I simply do here is once again type in the repeat function, REPT, okay, open bracket, and I want to show capital I, which is you'll see a pretty common one used for this type of display. Then the number of times it's going to be cell E3, but we can't have it showing 245 times because it's going to go way out to the right and exceed the width of that cell. So we might multiply it by 0.1. So we're only going to show 1/10 of the number of times. And if we carry this down, this formula down to all the cells, then they'll proportionately reflect what is in each of the cumulative value cells. Close the bracket and hit return. So now I've got 1/10 of that value, and if I drag that cell downwards, then the bars reflect proportionately what each one looks like in comparison to one another. So the last thing I want to show you is kind of above target and below target. And in order to do that, what I need to do is put in a repeat, an if function. And we're only going to show values in the below column if they are a negative value. And we're only going to show values in the above column, which is column I, if they are a positive value. So we've got to put in a negative, an if function associated with above or below 0. Now, to set us up for this, first of all, these are just formatted normally, so whatever the standard setting is on Excel. But the below column, I want it to show a red bar moving left of center. So what I would simply do is write a line so everything's butted up against the joining line between the below and above cells, and I want those to show in red. So I'll format the text in red. Everything above the line, I want it to be left aligned, so it moves out to the right from the joining bar between the above and below, and I want those to show in green. So I'll color code the text green. So you'll see this will make sense in a moment. Now, what I'm going to do is put the formula in. And the first formula I'm going to put is the if function that relates to cell G3. If it is below 0, okay, then I want it to reflect on this side. If it's not below 0, okay, or a negative value, then I don't want it here. So all I simply do is type equals, then I put the if function in. And if, right, is simply a function that has a logical test. And it says, if this cell meets some criteria, then do this, and if it doesn't meet that, then do something else. So basically the if is this: if cell G3 is below 0, okay, there's my logical test, what am I going to do? Then I'm going to put a repeat function in here. Then I want it to repeat, and you'll see now we're bringing two formulas together, or two functions together. I want it to repeat, and I still put the same format of repeat function in here. I want it to repeat I, how many times? Well, it needs to be the number of times reflected in G3. So if G3 is a negative number, right, I want it to appear as a positive number. I want to do a positive count. So I've kind of got to be counterintuitive and put negative G3. So that would negate the effect of a negative value. So what I've got so far is if G3 is less than 0, then I want it to repeat capital I how many times appears in there. And if it's not below 0, so what am I going to show? Then I'm simply going to show nothing. And to do that, I'd type in my quotation marks without anything in between. Close it off and hit return. Notice there's nothing there. Now, here's where the magic is. If I click on that cell and drag the formula down before I let go, notice there are a number of negative values in column G. When I let go, you'll see that only those values in column G appear in that cell. Now all I simply do is kind of twist it around a little bit and do a similar thing on the right hand side in the above column. I'm going to put an if function in here, equals if, and what I'm going to do, if cell G3, so same one, is greater than 0, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to repeat something. So I put in repeat. I'm going to repeat capital I, how many times? The number of times, and it would be a positive number, the number of times that appears in G3. Close that off, that's the repeat function. And if it's not, now I've got to finish the if function. Okay, if it's not greater than 0, I want it to show nothing, which I'm going to put my nothing in between the quotation marks, close bracket, and we're done. And all I simply do is drag that down, and all of the positive values will appear as green values. So there you have it. We have a little bit of a graph that shows below or above target in red or green, and yeah, it's just an interesting way to create a dashboard. So you can do lots of things for color coding. You can use conditional formatting. You can do conditional formatting around percentiles so that you only color some cells, and I'll show you that in a number of other videos. So there you have it. Have fun.